So here's some notes from class. I'm going to try not to talk too much. I'll stop it a lot in class and have discussion, but I'm primarily going to be listening to the answers here. So we've got a Venn diagram up here, which has people who were in the senior project, people who were in chemistry, people who were in both, and people who obviously are in neither. And so with that idea, the possible outcomes, when you pick someone at random, they could be, they could be in a senior project, which I'm going to be SP. They could be in chemistry, which I'm going to list as C. They could be in both, which I'm going to list as SP and or intersection of C. Or they can be in none of those, which one way I could list that is the complement of that. I could say they're not in SP or, this is the or symbol, this is the and symbol, or the union symbol, chemistry. And so that actually is not. But somehow you need to list those out. You don't have to list them out the way that I did. I don't know if you can see that last one. You can't. But those are the four possibilities. They're either in a senior project, they're in chemistry, they're in both, or they're in neither. Those are the four possibilities. The total students represented, pause it, and the answer is 2 and 7, and 19 is going to be 26, plus 29, I believe that's going to be 55. So I really hope I am not making a mistake there. I'm going to double check my math here real quick. That'd be 34 and 21, and that is 55. 5 in the center, we kind of already mentioned. That is the number in both. And one way I could list that out is students in senior project, which I'm representing as SP, and chemistry. And that's the intersection symbol, but it also can be read as an and. The 2 represents. That represents the people who are not in senior project or chemistry. And you could write that out verbally, or like I said, symbolically, you could say not. And then what are they not? They are not in senior project, or that means a union. So this means both of them. So the SP, this is kind of a new symbol. SP union C is both circles, everything in both circles. And this is not, so this is things outside that, or you could write it in English. Going on, students selected at random. Probability of each, record your answer as a decimal. I am not going to record as a decimal because that's going to take longer. I'll let you do that. We've got a calculator handy. Student is in the senior project. That's going to be 19 plus 5. So 24 out of 59. Student is in chemistry. Figure that out. And once again, that's going to be 29 plus 5, so 34 out of 59. Oh, shoot, not out of 59, 55. This was 55. Mistake. Student is in neither, is not in either course. So those are those 2 that are hanging outside. And probability student is not in chemistry. And that's going to be kind of it's not in chemistry. So that's the complement of this, or everything outside that chemistry circle. So that's going to be, what is that subtracted? 21 out of 55. All right. And then down at the bottom, are these events equally likely? Defend your response with mathematics. I'm not sure about this question because by the probabilities, they're not equally likely. They're only equally likely if they have the same probabilities. So maybe that's what should be listed there. I'm not going to write it out. I've got a broken hand. It's my excuse for everything. Next page, moving on as quickly as we can. We now have what's called a two-way table. A two-way table typically is recording results 2 ways. I'll let you read this up at the top. And then we're going to start answering our questions. Probability of a person picked at random is a girl. So probability of them being a girl is 251 out of 478. So it's just 251 out of 478. The rest of these, I'm sure you can fill them in. They're all out of 478. Going to the next thing, we're going to do girls and sports. So that's the probability of them being in both. And so the example there kind of explains how you would do that. So if we look at boys and grades, we look up here and we find boys who are most interested in grades as a goal. And so that's going to be 117 out of 478. So still out of 478. The difference between these two is in this thing, I'm looking up the total for the row, whereas this one, I am looking up at the intersection of those two rows because that's the subset that exists compared to the total. And so I'm not going to bother to do those others. I think that's fairly straightforward. Okay, next page. Each of the preceding probabilities looked at a particular event in comparison to the total. So now we're going to look at something different. If we knew that we were selecting a girl, so we're saying, hey, it is definitely selecting a girl. Somehow I know I'm selecting a girl. Would that probability change the goal that the person likes sports? The person's goal was about sports. And so if we go back and look at this, if we know it's a girl, it's going to be all of these in this row. So I'm only picking from 251 people because I'm already saying it's definitely going to be a girl. So I'm not picking out of 478. I'm picking out of 251. And then so therefore for sports, it would be 30 out of 251. I think that's what it asked for. Yeah, sports. So this is 30 out of 251. And the reason it's 251 is because we are given that it's definitely going to be a girl. And therefore it's just for girls, how many of them had sports as a goal. Moving on, the way we write this in the previous was sports given girl. And so this says, it's called conditional probability. On the condition that we've picked a girl, what is the probability that their goal of school is sports? So looking down here further, sports given boy, I'm like, okay, I'm definitely picking a boy. What's the likelihood that that boy's goal at school is sports? So we go back over to our table and we look at all the boys. We say, well, it's definitely going to be a boy. So sports is 60 out of 227. So that's 60 out of 227. And then the others are going to be kind of done similarly. And then they've got this question about sports given boy or boy given sports. Now we've already established that that's 60 over 227. So the question is, well, what's boy given sports? And what that is, I'll let you think about it for a moment. If I look back over the table, it's saying, hey, I am definitely picking out of the pool of people who say sports is their goal at school, or the reason they're at school. And so if I pick that, what's the likelihood that I picked a boy? So I'm picking from 90 total people, and if I randomly selected someone, well, 60 of those would be boys, so my chances of picking a boy are 60 out of 90. So the differences between the two is we've already talked about this one being 60 over 227, because there's 227 boys, and if I pick one, 60 of them are interested in sports. Whereas this one, now I've forgotten my numbers already. Oh no, it was 60 over 90, because if I picked someone who was interested in sports, 60 of those were boys, so my chance of picking a boy given sports is 6 out of 9. All right, wrapping things up quickly here. I want to keep this under 15 minutes so I can upload it to YouTube. Another big two-way table, kind of the same thing. And I'm just going to quickly fill in the answers. I'll let the class do it, and then I'll just have them here so if somebody comes back and looks at them, they've got the answers. Probability that a person is picked is from the United States. So total number of people in the U.S. in this survey were 1,557. 7690 was the total, and so it's 1557 out of 7690. Did they say how to write the answer? They did not say how to write the answer. You would probably write this as a percentage. This is kind of a weird way. This becomes kind of meaningless to people. So this is the one that I actually am going to calculate the answer. 1557 divided by 7690 is 0.202. Or if this was reported in the newspaper, it'd be like 20.2%, and I'm probably off the screen now. The next one, completed education before college. Completed his education before college. I am assuming that that is the college total. And, before college. Maybe I have to add these up. This is kind of questionable what they're asking here. I am going to leave that one blank. We'll talk about that in class. Because it's questionable, do they want just the college row, or they want these three or those four? But it's going to be out of 7690. Probability that the person is from France and finish only primary school or less. And so that's definitely this column, primary school or less, and France. So we're looking at 309. Actually, you can't see me. Primary school or less. France is here. So it's 309 out of our total. And then I probably got time to get one more in. College given India. So if we assume we've picked somebody from India, so that's what the given is. I picked somebody from India, so I'm picking out of a total of 1,535 people. What is the probability that I pick someone whose education level is college? So that's going to be 514 out of 1,535. And I'm running out of time, and I'm going to let you do the last one on your own as the lights run out.